Hey guys, how's it going? This is John Warren. Thank you for tuning into my channel once again. And why the suit? Well, I am filming this during Easter Sunday, so if you're happy Easter, I guess. Anyways, today I'm gonna go ahead and review Batman vs Superman for you. I did see it multiple times, so I could assure you that if you see it more than once, it does get a lot better the next time around. So don't worry about that. But I did feel that I needed to review this two different ways. One being more toward the film aspect of it, and then one being the fanboy that I am, the DC part of it. And only because this is how I feel that it should be delivered as a complete review. Because me as an aspiring filmmaker, I understand why people are disappointed, but the DC fanboy in me also want to say all like the giddy little things about this universe that Zack Snyder introduced us to. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started with it. First thing is, as a filmmaker, you have the title Batman vs Superman. So, what's your target audience? With that basic title with two iconic figures, you got Batman versus Superman. So your demographic, you're already targeting a lot of young kids who want to see two big superhero fights, known superhero fights. You're targeting young adults, you're targeting new people in the crowd that are just getting into these characters. You're targeting, of course, the DC fanboys and fangirls that love this stuff and are into the lore and the canon stuff about it. So you're targeting many people. So I understand that Zack Snyder wanted to focus this film on the DC fans, but just remember, because if you have a specific title, Batman vs Superman, that's very specific in the sense that that's what you're going to deliver to your audience, and that's what the audience will be attracted to. So titling is important, and of course we can get to the story. The story, basically, there's three different stories. There's Batman's story, and there's Superman's story with Lois Lane, and then there is Lex Luthor's story. Those are the three big stories in there. Of course, Batman has his detective work. He's figuring out ways to take down Superman because he basically has a huge grudge against this guy, and he doesn't like how he's killing innocent people because of his previous events in Man of Steel. And then you have Superman and Lois Lane. Basically, at the beginning of the movie, you see them, they went in the desert and they took down some terrorists. But now the government is assuming that Superman killed those people, which he didn't, which they said in the movie that he didn't kill those people in there. And Lois Lane is pretty much trying to convince the government and trying to release to the press that, hey, Superman is innocent, he's not a killer like you guys think he is. So there's that story, and then of course there's Lex Luthor's story that trickles in between both, and he kind of weaves both people together psychologically. So that's where Zack Snyder had his great idea of just psychologically battling these guys out before the big battle. So I understand that. And then of course you've got, but the thing is, you've also got minor stories going on, like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. She has a story, something against Lex because Lex stole like a picture from her. So you're following that, and then of course the Senator has some little squabble with Lex Luthor, which is technically part of Lex Luthor's story, but in the same sense it feels like an entity on its own. So there's a lot of things going on with this movie already, a lot of things to follow. So if you just like blink for a second, you're gonna forget something. So you really gotta pay attention with this style of movie. Now, I'm not saying these styles of movies are bad. You just have to make sure, because you have things going on, the pacing is the second thing. You have to make sure they're paced properly, make sure that everything is woven evenly and neatly together so it's one seamless movie. Because if you don't, people are going to forget, people are going to get bored, and yeah, the third thing, their invested time is pretty much wasted. A lot of these characters you fell in love with Man of Steel, like Lois Lane and Lawrence Fishburne, their characters, I felt, I wasn't as invested into the story because of because of all these other things of what's going on, There's just too many things to follow. So, and because it was so choppy, the pacing was off, and I could see why people got bored throughout the movie because their invested time with these characters are diminished. So yeah, story is important, pacing of the movie is important. If you have a technical story like this going on, you have to make sure you do that correctly in order to keep your audience, targeted. And then of course the invested time. A couple of other things is shoehorning. A lot of people are complaining that some things were just forced in this movie, and I understand that. for a couple examples, Doomsday was mentioned that he felt like he was forced in the movie, and so were the future Justice League members. I don't disagree with that. I felt like in some sense they were shoehorned in this movie, but they were also woven in it, I guess properly, just it wasn't received successfully. I could understand why Lex Luthor had Doomsday created. I could understand that. But I hope that Doomsday was going to be there because he was the deciding factor of why Batman and Superman would kiss and make up and go fight. That wasn't why they kissed and made up and fought Doomsday. No, it was how, like, I don't have anything against Lex Luthor, but except for this one thing in the movie, and it's how he used Superman to fight Batman. And what he did was he threatened Superman to fight Batman by kidnapping his mother and threatening to kill her. It sounds cool, but the thing is, for me, what I would have done is that I would have more or less convinced Superman to get to my side to fight Batman, like warp his mind, make him think differently, and make his justice obscure than Superman. Because the thing about this movie is these two giants are already fighting each other mentality speaking, right? So they have two different viewpoints of what justice is. So if you convince someone that your justice is more right than the other person, then Superman already is gullible, and it would be more for a convincing story. But because he threatened Superman, he didn't really take anything from it. And then at the end of it all, Batman and Superman never found that middle ground of what they think they should agree with on their stance on justice. Instead, they had because their mother had the same first name, which is Martha. That was the deciding factor why the fight stopped. So Doomsday was poorly created due to the fact that if Batman doesn't kill Superman, then he'll have Doomsday kill Superman. It felt shoehorned in there. You can't say it didn't feel shoehorned in there, even if you're a DC fan. It felt very sloppily put in there. And Doomsday is an amazing villain. I don't want to say anything bad about Marvel, but Marvel is like known for having like forgettable villains in their movies. Like the Ant-Man's villain and Ultron. They were just in there for a quick few minutes and then they're dead. That's how I felt Doomsday was treated in this movie, but he should have been treated a lot more carefully, and I should have had more invested time with this character, make me, understand why he needed to be gone. Now, once you have, now as a viewer, you're watching all this, and you already lost your invested time. You're already bored. You don't know what's going on. What's the only thing you're waiting for? With the title Batman vs. Superman, the only thing you're waiting for now is the mega fight between these two titans. Now, was it a mega fight? No, it wasn't. It was technically a one-sided fight. It was Batman who had his game face all set and ready, Superman with his, with Lex Luthor being threatening him and basically asking Batman to help him. So he didn't really have his game face on. He was just there to communicate with Batman. He didn't really give it as much as he would have, like if you saw The Dark Knight Returns. That was an amazing movie, and you saw both of them go at it. This one, it felt like it was just a 10-minute squabble between two people. It wasn't the mega fight that I wish that it could have. It was hyped up in the trailers. But now again, like at the end of the movie, after watching all this, what can you take away from it? There was really nothing you could take away from this movie. There's nothing really what you learn from this movie. In Man of Steel, comparing to Man of Steel because it's in the same universe, you could take away a lot from Man of Steel, and you learn something from Man of Steel. You learn that Superman isn't all this almighty, just rightful hero. He's he's also a human. He's also a person, just like you and me. He can't control his strength, and he doesn't know how to handle tough situations. But in this movie, there's not really nothing you take away from except for the fact that they're introducing the Justice League. I think that's pretty much it. So I wish they had just, focused more on how they approach the story. If they had approached the story a little bit differently, tweaked a couple things a little bit, it would have been a successful movie. Now let's go ahead and go to some of the things that I loved about the movie as a filmmaker. The visuals, of course. Zack Snyder brings to the table amazing visuals as always. Even though there's a few CGIs in this movie, it worked because it's a surreal movie. There are some things that wouldn't work if there was no CGI, like Nolan's films. His stuff was good. Nolan's good with his things, practical stuff, but it wouldn't work with this style of movie. So Zack Snyder is definitely on point with the visuals, and there's a beautiful opening scene with Bruce's parents that show them getting murdered, and Martha Wayne being shot and the pearls go flying everywhere. So there's a lot of beautiful scenes with that. Acting-wise, actors perfectly cast. No doubt in my mind that these actors were terrible. Jesse Eisenberg was amazing as Lex Luthor. It's a different Lex Luthor, and I'm open to new ideas with this universe. Amazing Lex Luthor. There's just a couple things I had wrong with his character development in the sense of how he went about handling things, but that's not Jesse Eisenberg's fault. That's the writing. Ben Affleck produced, I think, the best Batman to this generation, and I feel sorry for the guy because he seems so sad because all these people who want to go see his movie are upset. But, you know, rest assured, Ben Affleck, if you're watching this, you did an amazing Batman, you did an amazing Bruce Wayne, you did your detective work. It was phenomenal, it was great. As Wonder Woman stole the movie, in a sense, because every time I want to go see this movie, when her scene comes up, there's like applauding everywhere. So she was amazing, and she is definitely the Wonder Woman of the rightful Wonder Woman of this film. Before she was casted, of course, she was in the military. She was a model, and I was saying this before too. You know, she's well educated, and she really stands for women's rights and all that stuff. So she is the epitome of a Wonder Woman in real life. So bringing her onto this set felt like convincing to me that she is Wonder Woman. And of course, Henry Cavill and Amy Adams, Lawrence Fishburne. They all did an amazing job in acting. There wasn't a single moment where I wasn't convinced that those were the characters I fell for back in Man of Steel. So yeah, I love the casting. Jeremy Irons, oh my goodness. I thought he was gonna just sound like Scar throughout the whole movie, Scar from The Lion King. And he made it work though. I mean, I didn't hear Scar at all, but I was just like concerned, like, oh my god, they have Jeremy Irons in this movie. It's gonna be Scar, like talking to me all this time. And no, the bantering back and forth with Bruce Wayne and Alfred was just comical. It was straight from the comic book. It was amazing. Let's see, the setting of the movie. I wasn't too sure if Metropolis and Gotham would work as sister cities. Worked beautifully. I loved it. Amazing thinking by Zack Snyder on that part. Great job on that. But he's good with all these visuals and his settings. He's an amazing director when it comes to this kind of stuff. Score of the music. They brought Hans Zimmer back, and of course with Jinky XL to do the score of this movie. Beautiful chemistry between both composers. Jinky XL did mainly more of the Batman theme, and Hans Zimmer did mainly more of the Man of Steel / Justice League, I guess, theme for it. But it, because he trickled some of the scores from Man of Steel to this movie, it felt like it was in the same universe. So he did an amazing job bringing everything together. And I believe that score is like half the movie. So the score really engulfed me in the movie more. Is this movie memorable? There are memorable scenes in this movie. You could quote things. You could describe visual things of this movie. It's very memorable in that sense. But success-wise, due to the critics and what the general audience is saying, the target audience that bought these tickets, not just the DC fan people, because I'm not saying they're biased or anything, but a lot of them are proud of this movie, and I can see from filmmaker's point of view why the other audiences that went to go see these movies were disappointed. It wasn't successful as a lot of other superhero movies in the past. You can't say this is one of the best superhero movies out there. Only because of the things that were described, and I felt that were kind of lackluster in some certain sense, But it wasn't a bad movie, and like I said from the beginning, if you see it multiple times, if you grit your teeth and watch it a second time, the pacing is going to go a lot smoother for you. You're going to catch more things, and then you're going to understand the story a bit more. So yeah, that's my more technical review on this Batman vs. Superman in the filmmaker's aspect of it. Catch my review for Batman vs. Superman on the DC fanboy of it, because I'm going to be talking about all the little things that are DC about this movie. And yeah, you guys have a lovely week. Thank you.